Nothing's indefinite, so I pick up my head and I change on my etiquette. Keep my faith high, it was evident. Not worry about physical, I'm still alive, that's the evidence. He built me up, so I'm
All right.
breaking down easy like sediment. I'm relaxed as a sedative. Is you learning your lesson yet? This right here is my testament.
All right. I think we're ready to actually go now. This is going to be a lot of fun. I hope. I don't know which one is actually working right now. Let's see. How's everybody doing today? I think I got this. Wow, look at that. It lost my stuff again. So let's see if it doesn't come back for terminal either. Oh well, I guess I can do without like all that stuff that's there. Yeah, I got to figure out this whole hardware thing. This software just sucks, man, right? But anyway, let me drop a link in the Discord here. Yeah, I guess I'm like everybody else with the Discord, huh? So let's see, how do I share this? How do I share? Copy URL. And let's see the YouTube live streaming. So this is, all right. So I think we got this here. I think we got it. And copy the link. All right. So let me know if that music's too loud. I've never actually done this, and I have really like no real clue what I'm doing here, folks. So I don't know. All right. So if let me put my monitor on here. I got a monitor here, and live. I have to like find myself to do like a monitor here. All right. Upcoming channel, go to channel live. All right. So I think I got my monitor here. Is anybody here? Please say something in the chat. I'm trying to figure out if this thing is working or not. So in the Orleans Discord, Ruben is asking what's InfinityFlow. So InfinityFlow, it's I guess a startup I'm doing. That's the classic saturated market of drag and drop, WYSIWYG type workflows for non-technical users, drag and drop, et cetera, workflows, right? Except we don't call them workflows anymore. According to the Temporal folks, we call them durable. We call it all durable execution. So, anywho, sign up for the waiting list at infinityflow.app, and you'll get an email eventually that says, "Hey, welcome. Come play with it." Anywho, all right. So let's go ahead and hop into the. That transition is horrible, but anyway, that's what you get for using canned stuff. All right. So somebody say something in the chat and let me know what's going on, if this stuff is working at all. All right. So what is InfinityFlow? What is the architecture here? What are we doing? So I have two favorite technologies. My number one all-time favorite is Microsoft Orleans. The second all-time, well, I guess new favorite is Temporal. You can check them out at temporal.io. Some really talented folks behind it, and yeah, it's durable execution workflows. And the difference, instead of using some sort of a DSL or domain-specific language, it's keeping you in your native language that you like, and you're doing workflows as code, right? And it's an event source backed system that hides a lot of complexity from you. And oh, I hear somebody. Somebody's talking. What is that noise?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like somebody's talking.
Some sinister
Oh, that was
ways
the
of
music.
dealing with sinister things.
Oh
When I
wow.
bang
Yeah, I
bang,
guess
keep it at the top in my aim. I
man.
feel drained,
I wonder if you
running
could just
from
like buy
money
a
and
license and
fame.
pay them nothing
Don't
like
feel
Spotify,
pain,
right?
don't got an
But I
emotional
guess
range.
that's
My
reserved for when you
mind's
have market
damaged. I
control
guess
here.
that's how I
So
managed
let
to
me put
get
on
on
some
track.
music that is
Vanish, no
not
crumbs. Roll it up, I want the smoke with no lungs.
noise.
I'm
So I guess
climbing up,
chill,
get
right?
to the top with no rungs. I'm burning up, I'm like a star with
No
no
idea how
sun.
this
I'm in
works.
a time crisis, but
And
you
here I
never
go
heard
getting
nothing
distracted
like
again.
this. Taking over
So
the country
see,
like
for me, I
ISIS.
kind of like need
Flow cold
music,
just like
but
ISIS. You niggas trash. I'm wondering what the hype
yeah.
is.
So
They on but then they
anyway,
off
so I
like a light
guess what do I
switch.
do here? I do monitor only, right?
These
Is that what I
niggas
do?
on night shift.
I guess
Every single
monitor
track
only
I
is what
make,
I have
these
to
niggas
do.
scratching their heads like he ain't really just rap
Monitor
this.
only.
Cats
So
lose
I go
one of their lives trying
properties,
to.
and so this won't be on the stream. It won't be on an audio track. It's just in um, monitor only. Yeah, I think that's good. All right. So here we go. Um, yeah. So anyway, temporal, durable execution, workflows as code. So there's this thing called the serverless workflow specification here, and the serverless workflow specification. Let's go pull it up here. All right. So serverless workflow specification, and it's a we want to just go down to here. So it's at the serverless workflow on GitHub project here. And so what is it, right? Let's see. It defines a vendor neutral and declarative workflow language targeting the serverless computing technology domain. It's like a lot of word salad there. But TLDR is you're making YAML or JSON that is then implemented somehow and executes this workflow with certain behaviors and specific guarantees, et cetera. So some examples, basic workflow stuff. You have a start, and it's just managing state transitions, and it takes inputs and outputs from the different states. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And there's a few different kind of state transitions here that they have. Um, Event states where it uses cloud events to consume or to post, publish events rather. Operation states where you're like calling functions or some other behavior. Then you've got branching and a few others here. So sleep, parallel execution, inject state is like injecting static data, for each. Callback I think is new, and the kind of stuff you would expect in a thing like this. The interesting thing is here you define APIs to call. It doesn't actually, you don't actually put your logic in here, your code in here. It does have some expression stuff and some logic and flow control, but the idea here is it's calling service endpoints defined, via REST or RPC or GraphQL or OData, et cetera. Everything lives outside of this whole execution pipeline. So you might deploy some Lambda functions or something like that to get that logic to execute. All right. So what are we doing for it here? What's the vision here? So let's go to some of these samples here. Let's look at, I think on the website here that they have, let's go to their repo root. They have a website with some interesting kind of examples here. All right. So here's an example. Let's go to the web editor that they've got here. And they've got this cool like generator here. Okay, so let's have a workflow that does hello world, right? So there's a state here. It's the hello state is the one that starts, where it's an injection type. So it's just it just returns the output of hello world, and that's what's happening there. And so let's do something a little more sophisticated here. Let's see how provision orders works. So let's see if we can get this to open up a little. Oh, it's SVG here. All right. So provision order is the start state, and it's an operation state, action mode sequential. So first it's going to, so it's going to come here, the action for this operation state, it's going to call this function, which is defined up here in functions, and the operation is via an open API spec kind of a deal. and that's how it knows how to call it, and that's passing in the order argument. And this is a JQ type expression. So this is just saying, give me the order from the root of the JSON structure document as input. And it goes sequentially, so it's just going to run this one here. And then the data filter, this will modify output on the way out from the return of the function, right? So it's going to execute this, and then the output that comes out of this state, this operational state, is then going to be passed through this data filter. And then afterwards, we're going to call this apply. We're going to transition state into the apply order state, which is right here. And for an on error, here's our error handling. So it's defined, the error refs are defined over here. So this is like the different errors and how we handle them and where we go. Missing ID, missing item, missing quantity. You can see those other states here. So these are sub flows reference. So this is going to be reference elsewhere. This is kind of like a contrived example because they don't really define everything here. But anyway, I think you kind of get the point. When an apply order is done, it's going to call this other workflow here as a child workflow, a subflow as it's called here, and that's it. So that's kind of how you can kind of look at this here. So what are we doing, right? So what InfinityFlow does is it takes these serverless workflow specification implementation, these workflows, right, in this DSL, and it generates temporal workflows. For those that don't know about Temporal IO. So it generates, oh, they changed their website. Isn't that fancy? So it generates the workflow. So it's generating code, real code, and basically walking the graph that's built by that serverless workflow specification workflow, right? So let's go to how it works. So you write your business logic as code, just like normal, basically, right? And you are guaranteed to complete eventually. And yeah, so it's all the things you would hope and want in some sort of a thing. Go check it out. They're awesome folks behind this, really smart people here. And yeah, definitely. All right, so look at some code, right? So I made a little workflow here. I basically just jacked one of the samples here. And this isn't like a working example, but syntactically it's okay. Structurally it's okay. So they just recently, Temporal, they meaning Temporal, just recently started or published the general availability of the .NET SDK. Before I wrote some stuff in Go, and the Go SDK I think was their first one, and it's, well, let's just say that I write Go code for a living, and I'm not a fan. So, anywho, .NET's where it's at. It's where I live. Right? It's been a long time. All right. So I wrote a kind of like sample here, kind of a thing. And what this is doing, what we're going to do is we're going to use the Roslyn APIs to generate the code to build these workflows using the Temporal SDK. So that will allow us to go from the workflow JSON, right? Go from the workflow JSON into some C# code. So I just wrote a little thing here. Now this isn't using the SDK. This is more like a kind of proof of concept here. And let's see. I started this project in VS Code. So let's just see how this happens here. And let me see how this all happens with the broadcasting stuff. So if we're lucky, it should actually spawn the, oh yeah, of course, right? It should actually spawn the, set of start. It should actually spawn inside of this browser, inside of this terminal window. And is it, did it? No. All right, so let's see if it will switch. Oh, look at that. Yes, it did. Yes, it did, folks. Yes, it did. So it did actually do that there. So I'm gonna put that over here. So I actually got an error here. So if we switch back to Visual Studio, And oh God, I really hate that transition, hard cuts. Oh yeah, because I I hard coded a path. Let's see, what did I do here? Yes, I did hard code a path. Bad me. Bad me. Um, so what do I got to do here? Let's see. I'm gonna get the current directory of the assembly starting up, and so this is gonna be um, assembly. Uh, can we do this? It's been a while since I've done this in .NET Core. Um, oh yeah, I guess that works. Let's just let Copilot do it, right? Assembly, yeah. And then Codebase isn't a thing. So then, I mean, I guess I could just go this, right? All right, location. All right, so we're gonna get the assembly path, and we're gonna do path.get parent, get path root, get the root directory for the path, blah, 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 get full path, get relative path, and yes, but I don't want current directory, I want assembly location. So will this give me the path of the loaded file? So this is actually going to be, we want path.get path, get path, get root path. Yep, because I think this returns the name of the assembly. And this is going to complain because of nullability, and we know this should be okay because we're not loading this in memory, and this is just a stub to help us out here. So we don't need the argv because we're not doing that. And then relative to this, so let's look at our file tree layout here. So you can't see this here, but so we want to go up one. We're gonna actually have to go like up two, right? I think that will do it. And let's just make this a string literal. And let's see if this will work. Let's see, will this work? So what's our path? Let's do Visual Studio. Let's see what our path is. God, that's kind of annoying, the thing here. So InfinityFlow app, this is normal. Yeah, it's totally normal. Service workflow generator. So we need to go one more up. So because we're in bin debug, like bin debug, target framework kind of deal. And our path is right there. So we'll just remove this guy and see if we actually get here. Could not find path. So what is our actual path? Let me check if it's actually legit, right? So it's trying to go. So we're here. So this is where we're starting. Why is it, we went too far up? Okay, I guess I had a bug there before. Yeah, we should only need to go like 3 up, I think, right? Target framework, bin debug, unless this doesn't actually do what I think it's doing, right? Returns a relative path from one path to another. Oh, yeah, so that's like from the root, right? Let's see. I should probably read some documentation, right? So this guy, and I guess we could just do that, right? Will that work? I think all these get file stuff work with relative pathing. Yeah, maybe. So couldn't find a part of the path, see serverless workflow. So did we go? Oh, it actually just, oh, path route is like the drive, I guess. I don't know. Get full path is maybe what we want it. And that's actually probably why we had that problem before with the relative stuff here. Yeah, so InfinityFlow, C sharp, generator bin, debug. Okay, so yeah, we have to go back, get that path, and then append this. So we've got to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 1. So we need 4 here. So that's 4. And then this is get full path, absolute path for this path string. Yeah, that's not what we want. So that will actually transform our relative thing. But what we want is path dot directory name. Is this the full one or returns the directory information for the specified path? Will it give me a full path? Let's see. It's been so long since I've done this. And what am I missing here? So, oh yeah. Let's see what we got. We have to go one more up. And let's try it again. Yes. Hey, yeah, and it found our test SWS that we have over here. All right, so good. Now we're okay. We'll be able to work on my other environment as well that I use. So we're opening up that file, and you'll see that all the Roslyn stuff is happening. And ta-da! So we've generated code that does this all by reading from the serverless workflow. And this was kind of like just a proof of concept kind of a deal here, not using the SDK because that gives us a little bit of complexity now. So that's what we're doing. Let's look at some of this code. It doesn't really matter. It's going to get deleted today, but we'll go over here and we will go to generate source code async. Yeah, I do. I kind of got one in, yeah, in Simon. All right, so generate source code async. So what I did here is I'm taking the hash of the definition just to give us some metadata. And we have this reader here. This reader is the workflow reader that comes from the serverless workflow SDK. It's not the temporal one. It just parses and allows you to read and manipulate the serverless workflow graph. So then we're building the workflow. I have something here. It's really naive kind of a deal here on converting making member names safe for C sharp. Just doing some basic kind of stuff here. There's probably more edge cases that I'm not following. I really should go look at the syntax for it from the spec and get the regex that's used in the grammar. But later. So then I'm adding some members. So I create the namespace declaration, creating some namespace declarations, and of course, oh, wife is texting. Let's see. It's probably because the babysitter's leaving. And of course, that's what happens, right? I'm either doing a bunch of Windows updates or Visual Studio updates or fiddling with settings in the stream software. And yep, and I'm out of time for today. Ha! I have to go hang out with the kids now because the babysitter's leaving. All right, folks. So I'll just wrap this up and show what we're doing here. So we create actions, we create classes, we create workflows by adding the different actions here. So the objective of what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to modify this to use the actual Temporal SDK, building some workers that will, and a temporal worker is the thing that listens to the task queue of things to do for workflows, like when a workflow is supposed to be scheduled to get started and to start executing. and all of the things that need to happen in the life cycle of that workflow's execution and lifetime. Um, and it runs as a service, always on kind of a deal, just listening on that queue and pulling events to do work. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dynamically generating a worker, which is basically a background service running in the generic host that's going to be generated based on this serverless workflow specification file, and from there, we'll have these workflows. And once it builds, the code's generated, it builds, we'll create a container image and push it to the registry, and then we'll automatically deploy it to the execution environment in Kubernetes. Right, lots of hand waving going on there. But yeah, that's the gist of what's happening. All right, so I'm going to try and do more of this tonight. Kids go to sleep in 5.5 hours. See you then.